the country that holds the most time zones around the globe. Have you ever wondered how far one country's influence can stretch across the globe? So far that it creates a record in geography. Today, we're diving into a fascinating topic that has everything to do with clocks, maps, and the unusual quirks of our world. The country that holds the most time zones in the world. Prepare to be surprised, because the answer isn't the largest country on Earth, nor one you might expect. It's France. Yes, France, a single country, spans an incredible 12 or 13 time zones, depending on how certain territories are counted. But how is this possible? And what does this tell us about the intricate nature of our world? Let's break it all down and explore the surprising and enlightening details behind this unique global record. Let's start simple. What exactly are time zones? Time zones are regions of the Earth divided by a standard measure of time. They are based on the Earth's 24-hour rotation, with each time zone roughly corresponding to 15 degrees of longitude. As the planet rotates, different areas face the sun, creating the need for localized timekeeping to keep track of day and night. Most countries stick to one or a few time zones. For example, the United Kingdom operates entirely on Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, or British Summer Time, while India uses a single time zone, IST, even though it could technically span at least two. Meanwhile, larger nations like the United States have multiple time zones, 6 overall, if you include Alaska and Hawaii. But France is a whole different story. Instead of being confined to its mainland in Europe, France's time zones are scattered across the globe. To understand why, we need to look at more than just size. At first glance, you'd assume that the country with the most time zones must also be one of the largest. Geographical giants like Russia come to mind. Stretching across 11 time zones, Russia is indeed impressive. It starts its day far earlier than Europe and continues to span the clock all the way into Asia. Similarly, the United States encompasses 6 time zones, sometimes expanding to 7 if you consider certain U.S. territories like American Samoa. It's no surprise that size is seen as a key factor. But while size matters, France challenges this narrative entirely. Compared to Russia and the U.S., France's mainland territory in Europe is relatively compact. It's about the size of Texas. Yet, France holds the record for the most time zones. How is this possible? Let's reveal the secret. The secret to France's numerous time zones lies not in the size of its mainland, but in its overseas territories. France isn't confined to its European borders. Instead, it has territories spanning the Caribbean, South America, the Indian Ocean, and the Pacific. These territories create a global network of French land that stretches across much of the Earth. But what are overseas territories? Essentially, they are regions that are considered part of France, but they exist far beyond mainland Europe. Most of these territories were acquired during France's colonial expansion, and though many colonies gained independence over time, some chose to remain politically connected to France. This global network is what gives France its massive time zone reach. Let's explore how France's 12 to 13 time zones are distributed across the world. Each one reflects a unique piece of history, culture, and geography. Time Zone 1, Mainland France, UTC+1. Home to cities like Paris, this is the standard French time most people know. Time Zone 2, French Guiana, UTC3. Located in South America, French Guiana sits on the Atlantic coast and shares this time zone with parts of Brazil. Time Zone 3, Guadeloupe and Martinique, UTC4. These Caribbean islands bring a tropical twist to France's time zone mix, aligning their clocks with much of the Eastern Caribbean. Time Zone 4, Saint Pierre and Miquelon, UTC3. A small archipelago near Canada, Saint Pierre and Miquelon adds another North American flavor to France's global footprint. Time Zone 5, French Polynesia, UTC 10. French Polynesia, including Tahiti, sits across some of the world's most remote oceans, aligning its time closely with Hawaii. Time Zone 6, Wallis and Futuna, UTC plus 12. This small Pacific territory places France alongside countries on the opposite side of the clock, like Fiji and New Zealand. Time Zone 7, New Caledonia, UTC plus 11. Another Pacific gem, New Caledonia operates in a time zone quite opposite to mainland France. Time Zone 8, Reunion Island, UTC plus 4. Near Madagascar in the Indian Ocean, Reunion adds yet another tropical dimension to France's global span. Time Zone 9, Mayotte, UTC plus 3. Another Indian Ocean territory near Africa, Mayotte shares a time zone with Eastern Africa. Time Zone 10, French Southern and Antarctic lands, UTC plus 5 to UTC plus 10. These scattered islands include territories in the southern Indian Ocean. Time Zones 11 and 12, Clipperton Islands and others. Diverse small territories each operate in their own designated time zones. Bonus quirks. Anomalies like UTC plus 430 can occur in specific places depending on unique timekeeping decisions. Together, these zones paint a vivid picture of a country that doesn't just sit in Europe, but truly circles the globe. To understand how France came to control such a diverse range of territories, we need to look back at history. During the 16th to 19th centuries, France was a major colonial power. Its empire spread across nearly every continent. Over time, many colonies became independent nations, but some territories chose to maintain ties with France, often enjoying benefits like French citizenship and economic support. Today, these overseas connections give France unparalleled global influence, visible even in something as universal as time zones. One factor that makes tracking French time zones especially complicated is something called the International Date Line, IDL. This invisible line in the Pacific Ocean separates one calendar day from the next. Because French territories like French Polynesia sit so close to the IDL, they represent some of the very last places on Earth to welcome the new day. On the flip side, territories like New Caledonia experience a new day much earlier. This spread means that France effectively lives in both the earliest and latest hours of the global day. While large countries often span many time zones, France's unique advantage is its dispersed territories. Unlike Russia, whose 11 time zones are connected across a single landmass, France's reach extends to nearly every corner of the globe. This sets France apart, not just in geography, but also in the diversity of cultures represented within its zones. Even countries like the United Kingdom and the Netherlands, which also have territories scattered globally, don't come close to France's time zone tally. Here are a few quirky facts to end on. French Polynesia alone covers several time zones, from UTC 10 to UTC 9. France is one of the few countries globally that simultaneously straddles both tropical regions and Antarctic climates. Governing these territories across multiple zones presents challenges for communication, coordination, and administration. And there you have it, the story of how France holds the record for the most time zones of any country. Despite its relatively modest mainland size, its overseas territories allow it to dominate the global clock like no other nation. This fascinating fact highlights not only France's historical global reach, but also the interconnectedness of our world, where one country, in its unique way, can live in nearly every hour of the day. So, the next time you glance at a clock, take a moment to think about how time zones aren't just about time. They're about history, geography, and the fascinating quirks that make our planet so unique.